First off, I want to say I am not a physical therapist. So I want to put that disclosure right up front. But we're going to talk today about which wheelchair is best for you. And that's so important when you're going in to look at a wheelchair, either if it's your first wheelchair or whether it is um, an upgrade from the wheelchair you have right now. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa, and you just jumped on World Wheelchair Warriors, and we talk about everything wheelchairs. And so today we're going to talk about what wheelchair is best for you. And I want to give kudos to physical therapists because once they get to know you, then they can, barter with you in terms of what is best. When I started with my walking problems, I started with a manual wheelchair, sports lightweight manual wheelchair, until I pushed myself to get back up and start walking again. It was painful. It was ridiculous, but I kept on pushing myself. And I would fall down and, get back up, keep on walking, kept on falling down. So once that got too many times, then my therapist said, okay, I want you to start using, my doctor, my primary care doctor said, it's best for you to start using a walker. And I don't want you giving it away after a while. Keep on using it. So I began using a walker full time. And then, still having trouble walking and falling. So back to therapy I went to strengthen my walking, my legs, and figuring out things. But my therapist, when she started working out with me, she said, okay, we're talking about a wheelchair, aren't we? And I was like, huh? Huh? I worked so hard to get out of the wheelchair, and now you want to throw me back in. But no, we talked little by little in terms of the benefits of the wheelchair and how that would, really support me, especially when I went out. When I was discussing with her about wheelchairs, she said, okay, so which wheelchair is best for you? And I said, well, the only wheelchair I know is a manual wheelchair. And she said, no, that's not the best one for you. I was like, huh? So she really wanted to see where I was at. And she said, a manual wheelchair won't work for you because your shoulders are not in good condition, and you don't want to get a wheelchair and then not be able to use it, or it's causing you too much pain. So you don't want to have a negative experience now. I know the first time around, the manual wheelchair was good. You were strong enough. Your shoulders were okay. But now your shoulders are not in good condition. So you don't want to make that worse. So let's talk about power wheelchairs. What kind of power wheelchair do you think you need? And I had no idea. I said, I have no idea. I don't know anything about power wheelchairs. So then we discussed back and forth in terms of what a power wheelchair was all about and what kind of things I would have to do with the power wheelchair and how the power wheelchair would help me, would save energy, would save my shoulders, So we reviewed all of that in terms of why she was in the understanding that a power wheelchair would be the best for me. So that's why I'm saying a physical therapist would be the best person to kind of evaluate or talk back and forth in terms of what is the best wheelchair for you. Now, I'm going to give you some hints out of my own experience, and this is my own experience. So you have to look at your experience right now, your physical condition, the reason why you would want to continue with a wheelchair or getting a wheelchair for the first time. What is the best for you? A manual wheelchair, power wheelchair. So okay, so let's look at that. Let's look at the pros and cons of each one. All right. So manual wheelchairs, you have to propel yourself. So that physical ability has to be there. And, some people are quadriplegics, but they can still hold on, or they can use specialized gloves and they can still propel themselves. But they have to be in good condition. Their shoulders have to be okay. And, the muscles in the back have to be okay. They have to have good quad muscles, core muscles. They have to have good core muscles. So those things are important for anyone who's going to choose a manual wheelchair, um, a lightweight sports wheelchair. Sorry for my brain freeze there. So that is where you'd want to go. However, if you have problems with any one of those, the 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 therapist is going to kind of, I don't know, and they're going to suggest a power wheelchair. In my case, she suggested a power wheelchair. Why? Because the propelling is going to make my shoulders worse, and that's the one thing with the manual wheelchairs. It's toss up sometimes because it will impact people's shoulders no matter what. So that is it with the manual wheelchair. It's the propelling, and keeping it clean sometimes can be a little difficult. Although it doesn't have a motor, so you don't have to worry about, wiping it down and things like that. You do have to look at the wheels carefully. I would always choose solid wheels versus inflatable wheels because I never wanted to get into the issue of having to inflate them all the time. And, losing a wheel because I ran over a nail or I ran over some glass or whatever. So the solid wheels, for me, were the way to go. So you have to look at that, too, if you're looking into a manual wheelchair. Some people are young enough, strong enough. Their shoulders are great condition. They have that ability to propel themselves. So that's where they would look at a manual wheelchair. A power wheelchair is for someone who has difficulty with their strength, difficulty with their energy, difficulty with their hands, difficulty with their shoulders. They might have other issues like breathing issues. They might have COPD. They might have a heart condition. They might have had a stroke. So they need a little bit more support than they would get from a manual wheelchair. They would need a power wheelchair because there are certain parts in the power wheelchair that you can add, like to support their head if their neck muscles are a problem, if they are quads and really they don't have the strength in their hands to propel themselves. So the power wheelchair would be the one that they would want to use. And if they're already using a tank, an oxygen tank for breathing, you'd want a power wheelchair to be able to carry that tank, or the smaller box that they use for traveling. So, power wheelchairs are great. It's just a transportation issue that you'd have to review and look at and get some advocacy to figure out the transportation of the power wheelchair. I use county vans and I use the bus when I need to, when I can. So yesterday I was on the county van, and the first time ever I missed my van. I got stuck on a medical appointment, and that was it. So I had to ask for another van, so I had to wait and didn't get home until 2, when I should have gotten home by 1. But so those are just little quirks that you have to look at. And if you don't drive anymore and you don't have somebody who can drive, then you have to look at county services. Each state is a little different. Each county is different on how they handle the funds for vans for people with disabilities. So, you know, power wheelchairs, there are so many things you can do because you have this simple power wheelchairs that I use. Um, and then you have the complex power wheelchairs that have all kinds of parts that the therapist can pick and choose for you to support your head or to support an arm that's not functioning very well, or your feet. There's special seating, special cushions. All of that can help, especially a person who might have had a stroke or a person who has ALS. There's so many things, different things that you can do with power wheelchairs these days that are excellent. But that would be the Department of Complex Power Wheelchairs. And I've seen some great power wheelchairs out there that are doing great for the people who need it. So far, I can deal with the simple power wheelchair. I'm hoping that once I look at turning this one in, that we can do the swing away footrest because I'm having difficulty with the flat one. So with the solid flat one, so footrest, as we call it. So it's that kind of thing. I also look at cushions, so we'll see what kind of cushion. I purchased some through my insurance, and I have them there, but it's like which one? And if it's too small, it slides around. If it's big enough, you're too high. So it's just that struggle of getting the right cushion so that you feel comfortable in your power wheelchair. So, and there is, it's some of that and all of that, as I usually say. So in power wheelchairs, there are so many choices that gives the therapist ample room to say, okay, these are your conditions. These are the things that we want to support. These are the muscles that I want you to continue to use. Even though we get you a power wheelchair, I want you to still be doing the exercises so you don't lose it all. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I do exercises almost every evening with my arms and stretching and all that kind of stuff with bands. So to keep my core and to keep my arms and hands strong. So that's really important. And then my legs, I do the little walking that I can over and over, so I don't lose that. so that's where I'm at, and then we work on the pain levels because that's always there in front of me. So which wheelchair will benefit you is a conversation that has to happen between you and your therapist. You have to consider your health condition and, if it's going to be a simple power wheelchair or a complex power wheelchair, or are you at the point where you can still use a manual wheelchair, propel yourself and feel comfortable in a manual wheelchair? So that conversation, the manual wheelchair, you have to have the strength, good arms, good hands to be able to do it. Because you have to propel not only the wheelchair, but yourself, your weight. So you have to consider that. The power wheelchair is just the joystick. So I'll show you the joystick here. So there it is. There's the joystick. So that's it. That's the strength you need to have is a joystick. And there are a variety of types of joysticks depending on your hand. And it can be on the left, it can be on the right. Some people can't use a joystick. So, they can use a sip and puff. They can use the back of their head. So there's a variety of ways they can steer their power wheelchairs. So, and power wheelchairs are coming in more and more with lights and things like that that'll benefit, when you go out. I have strips of reflective tape on my power wheelchair so somebody doesn't run me over. The other day in the morning, I got off in my clinic and it was so busy. There were so many cars coming and going that the driver actually got out of the van. She walked me across the little road, the driveway, so I could get to the clinic safely. Because it's hard to know what the next car is going to do. And you're much lower, so she got out of the van. Actually, she said, "No, I need to walk you to the clinic because this is crazy right now." So busy, crazy. So she got me across safely, and I got inside the clinic and got to where I needed to go. So I thank her for that. I got to my place safe and sound without being run over or squished. So, what is best? What is best for you, a manual or a power? And after this description, I think you will have a better idea and you'll be able to be a contributor in the conversation with your physical therapist if you're talking about a wheelchair. You have 3 choices: the manual wheelchair, the simple power wheelchair, or the complex power wheelchairs. So good luck, and put your ideas down below of what you would think would be the best for you. And in terms of insurance here in the United States, you can't go from power wheelchair down to a manual. You can go from a manual up to a power wheelchair. So just so you know that the regulations of bouncing around in terms of what types of power wheelchair. If my condition gets worse, then we might move it up to a complex power wheelchair. But we have to see what it does and continue to work on it. So, all right, folks, that's all I had in terms of what wheelchair is the best for you. Don't forget to like. The likes help a lot. You might think that it doesn't, but the algorithm certainly likes videos that are liked a lot. So they'll swoop it up and spread it around the YouTube world. So feel free to like the videos, take a look at them, and like them, and that just helps. You don't even have to subscribe. Just like the videos as you go along. All right. Take care. And I guess I'll see you in the next video.